change to theme. Hi everyone, my apologies for the technical difficulties again. I restarted everything, so everything should be working fine. And now we're going to go into the interview with James Woodward.
Okay, we are arriving at James Woodward's office in Taiwan, and we're about to have an interview with him for Own Your Future, so let's check it out.
Hello.
Hi James! Thank you so much for having us today. So this is your office?
Yeah.
Really cool.
This is where the magic happens.
And where we'll be interviewing today?
Yeah.
Over here. All right. So we're just gonna go set up very quickly, and we'll see you very shortly.
So it's working?
Hi everyone, welcome to Own Your Future. Today's guest is James Woodward, and he was a mechanical engineer by studies, then went into finance and accounting for 5 years before he realized that design was a passion of his and he started pursuing that. So we're really excited to share his story today, and James, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks.
So I think I want to start with, how did we first meet? Because I feel like we met kind of indirectly for about 3 years ago, because I used to come to your space in your office, which we're in right now in Taiwan, Hong Kong, and I would bring a lot of kids over here to learn from your partner, Rocky.
So Rocky was running workspace here, and we're still doing the studio, but it was under a different name then, and I was more working on the studio, whereas he was working on workshops with.
Can you WhatsApp me the new link, because I can't seem to find the current live stream.
And I feel like over time I learned that you're a creative director at Kith Kin now, and then you also do DJing, right?
Yeah.
DJing on the side. Is it like half? Is it a side gig or?
Like I started doing that when I was 17.
So it's
from a very early age, and then I kind of
it's not running
one step after the other. I took a bit of a break, and then now I do it on the weekends.
Okay. So I will probably touch upon that a little bit later, but I think what I'm more interested into knowing is, how did you choose mechanical engineering as your studies, and how did that lead to what you're doing today?
Mechanical engineering was because I was good at art, but I don't think I had the right art teachers at school and graphics. So I was kind of
it's either that or it's like the 16-minute.
I moved away from it. Then I realised I was good at physics and maths and science.
I see it.
So I thought a combination of that is engineering.
Thank you.
So that's what I did.
Thanks.
And now I don't do that.
And then, so why did you not pursue mechanical engineering after university? How did you decide to go into finance and accounting?
Halfway through, we were just doing other modules which were separate. So there were some finance ones, there were some other project management ones as well. And then finance, again, was another thing where, you get to like 21, you're like, oh, what am I going to do now? Like, I have to figure out what I have to do, like, right now. And you make, like, a reflex decision, like I did with the degree, right? I wanted to do architecture before then.
I want to do architecture too.
So now I'm going to do finance, because that's safe. People are rich when they get in finance. And that was kind of like my thought process. It was very shallow, and it wasn't really well thought out.
And so at what point in finance were you like, okay, maybe I'm not so much about the money now and I want to do something different? Like, because you said that you went into it because you're like, oh, maybe I want to make a lot of money.
Sorry, can you say it?
I was saying, like, so you went into finance initially because you were like, okay, I want to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then at what point during your finance were you like, oh, this is just really not my thing and I want to, like, do something else? Like, what was that trigger point?
You realize that it's not really, the trade-off isn't that great.
What do you mean by that?
It depends on where you have your priorities. I didn't feel I was being true to myself and who I wanted to be, my general happiness, also just general level of talent. Like, I think that I could have gone further in what I'm doing now, and I can be better at what I'm doing now and show more passion in it than what I was doing there. I wasn't really showing any passion. I was kind of going through the motions.
Kind of like a rat race, like a routine every day.
Living to like Friday, and that was it, And I felt as though I was also, in a way, doing a disservice to the people that wanted to get into that career. And I wasn't trying that hard, and I thought that, I should give these other people a chance, and I should do something that I really want as well.
Okay, and then how did you decide that design was the thing to jump into? Because I think a lot of people, when they're in a very Christian comfortable job, that's like the last thing they would think about is like, how would I jump to a completely new industry?
This one's like a super like personal and particular like example. I'm not saying that anyone should be thinking about this, but what happened to me was I started to think about when I was a kid, like let's say 9 or 10 years old, like primary school.
And where did you grow up?
School. London.
London.
So during that time I had a weird like fascination as a kid being that young in flags, and I love flags, and I memorized all the flags in the world. And then I started reading these books on logos and rebrands, and I remember like I was reading this book and there was a brand called ICI, and they were talking about the rebrand and how it changed from like this logo to another logo. And it's just like when I was 9 or 10 years old, and I was really like fascinated by this, and it kind of like flashed before me when I was going through that transition from finance, and then I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. And then from there, it switched on. Like everywhere I was walking around Hong Kong, you see like logos everywhere. Just like my mind was just going overload. Yeah, it's a really weird thing.
So from that overload part, like how did you do it? Because I think the how is what's interesting. How did you, like, who did you go and talk to? Is there someone that you spoke to that was like, yeah, you should do it? Or like, did you just kind of went cold turkey, I quit my job and then start finding something new?
My business partner, Rocky, he wanted to do something as well. So he basically finished his studies in the UK. He couldn't get a visa to actually do a job in the UK and start his career there. So he came back here, didn't know what he wanted to do. So we just started up a company, and then we were just working out stuff as we went along. I mean, if we started up the company maybe even as soon as 5 years before, we would have had no chance, because the advancements in online learning nowadays is like so good. I mean, we might have been a bit early, because most of my early stuff that I learned was on Computer Arts magazine, so it's still CDs. So I was still learning off CDs and stuff. This was before Skillshare, before like LinkedIn Learning and Masterclass, all of that stuff. But yeah, now it's become ever more easier to like make the switch.
Okay, so then did you have to retrain yourself? Like, how did you retrain yourself at a time when there are no such platforms to relearn?
Making a lot of mistakes.
Make a lot of mistakes. That's a great note. Make a lot of mistakes.
Just that, like.
So it wasn't even like you were, I don't know, buying like Photoshop and then going on YouTube and be like, okay.
Oh, it was all of that. So it started. Basically, at the very beginning, it started me just like drawing stuff out, and that's when the flashback happened. What I was talking about earlier with like the flags and all that stuff. So I was like drawing them all out, and I'll give them to Rocky, or I'll give them to my other friend Peter. Be like, oh, how do you do this? Like, how do you put it on the screen?
Because Rocky has the skills.
He done product design in CSM in London. So I'd be like, how do you put this on the screen? Like, I didn't know how to do it. All I knew was spreadsheets and like finance, so I couldn't really, that's no use. And then gradually I learned how to use like the pen tool, all these like different things to use with Illustrator. And then gradually, I got more and more competent, and I could kind of, sometimes I can skip the like drawing phase and go straight to screen.
Got it.
Yeah.
So tell me, jumping into what it is now, so tell me more about like what you do as a creative director, and tell me a little bit about what your company does.
Okay. So now it's less so like design and making things look pretty.
Because you start off as a design logo, like how would you describe your company in the beginning?
I think before, we were called Entendre before. So before that was like, oh, we need a logo done. Okay, yes, we'll do that, and we'll make it look in our style. So our style was basically to tell that journey of like how we didn't know how we were doing stuff. So everything came from hand. We were very handcrafted. So a lot of our earlier like identities were more rustic, whereas now we are a lot more strategic focused, and it's a big part of how I do any project now with any client.
And what kind of clients do you normally work with?
So we started off mainly F&B, hospitality, but now we've been working with University of Hong Kong, we've been working with jewelry brands, backpack brands, liquor brands, like all of that stuff. So we spread out. It's more of a problem-solving practice now, as opposed to just like doing, graphic design. It's really looking at their current marketplace, who they are, where they're at, or where they want to be, and where they want to be in the next few years. Kind of looking at that from like a data research based kind of perspective, but also looking at who their customer is and really asking the client like, oh, who would your ideal customer be? Who's your customer right now? And then trying to move from that and come up with a visual language or visual framework or personality for the brand which can identify with those users or potential users.
Can you give an example of a client that you can share that kind of walks us through the step-by-step from kind of meeting with them to what you were just saying, just so we have a little bit more of a tangible understanding?
Yeah, so the typical one before would be, let's say Little Bao would be like, oh, I need to start up a restaurant in, a few months. Can you do a logo? Can you do a menu? Yes. Done all that.
And for those who don't know Little Bao, do you mind explaining a little bit what Little Bao is?
So Little Bao is run by Mei Chow, award-winning chef, and she's had Little Bao for, I think, 5 years. So it started off in Staunton Street in Soho, doing an Asian take on the Western burger. So it's very fusion, and now she has a bigger store in Causeway Bay in Hong Kong. So yeah, she's really expanded. She's also got a private kitchen called Happy Paradise. And yeah, she's doing really successful, gone around the world, given talks and gone to food fairs and stuff. So yeah, she's doing great things. And yeah, if it wasn't, she's one of the reasons for our success. Is we're very lucky to work with her from so early on that it enabled us to kind of work with bigger companies like Swire and stuff.
So Little Bao, say they were a client, they come to you, and what is a typical conversation like? So you're a design consultancy firm, or do you?
Yeah, so back then that was a typical process. She'd come, I need to start, a restaurant. It's like, okay, you need this, and we'll do it, and then it's done. But the one in terms of like process and how we do it now, I think the best one is Loveramics. So Loveramics actually does the tableware for Little Bao. They also do all of the cups for the World Barista Championships. So yeah, they're pretty big. So the owner, Will and Grace, they came up to us like, oh, we want to like spruce up our business. We want to make a bit of a change. So we're like, okay, let's have a look at that. And then so we run a couple of workshops, looking at where they are, who their clients are, and then kind of trying to identify how we can connect with them better. So if you asked us before those workshops, we'd say, oh, rebrand, probably needs a new logo, blah, blah, blah. But what we actually did was we kept the logo the same because we felt it didn't really need that. What it needed was a better user experience on the website. The website looked pretty dated at the beginning. And then also the photography was quite cold. It was like, oh, here's a plate, here's a cup, all of that stuff. Whereas Loveramics they're meant to be tableware. It's meant to be used on a daily basis. It's not meant to be like showcase, like meant to be in the cabinet and just collects dust until there's the dinner, that everyone comes around, oh, I have to use it now. And it's not IKEA either. Yeah. So it's somewhere in the middle. So instead of showing those product focused like images like all the time, yes, we'd still use that because that's very important, but we would also show images of people having dinner, actually using it, having that connection, people, smiling and showing the emotion that people can have while they're eating. And I felt that really bridged the gap, and that was much more effective than actually changing the logo. It's actually showing people how to use the product. Yeah.
Okay. And how long does a project like that take from end to end normally?
Usually around 12 weeks.
12 weeks.
Yeah, so those workshops will take 2 to 3 weeks, and then we'll do a mood board usually, and then we'll kind of roll out the deliverables from there, like after concept designs. So yeah, usually 12 weeks, but we've been involved in projects which have been, towards a year. So
towards a year?
Yeah.
And so based on all the projects that you've done, because it sounds like you've done a lot of really big name brand projects, which is one project that you're the most proud of?
The one would be actually one of our Swire projects. They done a private members club in Quarry Bay called the Refinery.
I think we have the menu here.
Yeah.
Refinery.
So
what is Refinery?
Refinery is a private members club. So within Quarry Bay, the business district in Hong Kong Island, there's like loads of companies like Facebook, EY, who I used to work with, like JP Morgan, blah blah blah. So it's a place for all of their C-suite executives. So all of the top brass go there to like chill out. So that was basically the purpose of the space. Why I'm so proud of it, for me personally, is because obviously jumping from career, mechanical engineering, to finance for 5 years, and then doing design and scribbling stuff and looking at CDs and just working out as you go along.
Right.
I had a huge confidence issue and imposter syndrome, which is completely fine. And I remember going, and we had to pitch for this project, and I remember going to the reception in Swire, those big towers there, and I just went to reception, signed in, and I'd done like a sneaky look at, who's signing in today, like on the picture, the timetable. I was like, oh my god, there's this studio, that studio. I was like, and I kept my mouth shut because I was pitching with like the whole team, and I didn't want to tell the rest of the team, so they would be nervous too. So I just kept my mouth shut. So the whole time I was like in this pitch, going through the motions after putting this deck together, and after being put against those people who I thought were above and beyond what I was at and maybe what I could ever do, we actually ended up beating them on merit, which was something that gave me a lot of confidence to go forward. And that was a big change.
That was a big change. And so what number year did you get the refinery as a client into starting the company with Rocky?
I think like 3 or 4.
3 or 4?
Yeah. We've done a couple of projects with Swire before, and I think that's what gave us the pitch, the opportunity to pitch. So we were working on Mr. and Mrs. Fox, which is another restaurant in Quarry Bay, Public, also another restaurant in Quarry Bay, and that gave us the opportunity. We worked on Blueprint, which is a co-working space downstairs from the refinery.
Wow. So what do you think was the winning formula for you to beat out the big guys? Because yours is considered a smaller firm compared to the really big consultancy firm. So what was it that got you the pitch, do you think?
It's quite, that was even 3-4 years ago now. So it's quite a long way. But I think what helps with anything and selling any concept, whether it be concept presentation or a pitch, is storytelling. I think if you can really craft a good story and really step into the shoes of their user or their anticipated user, that's what will always get you, not always win, but always get you something where you get to that presentation and you're happy with what you presented.
Okay, so along the lines of understanding your user, can you tell us a little bit more about, what did you actually do to do the research to understand the journey of a user? Or was there anything that you did in particular?
You can do it various ways. Looking at competitors or seeing who they want to be. If they're a new, let's say if it's a rebrand, it's easier because you can look at where they are right now and who they want to be, and look at those two and try and come up with a story of how we can get from point A to point B. When it's a new brand, it's a bit more difficult, but you need to look at where they want to position themselves and then look at those users who they compare themselves against. Let's say a car brand, for example, new to the market, but they want to be somewhere in the BMW, Mercedes range or Lexus. Then look at those people who buy those cars, what's important to them, and then try and connect to that. And if you can do that and you predict it right by asking the right questions to the client, which is very key, then you can win. It's all about asking the right questions. I think a lot of people go in with a bit too much. They're a bit too presumptive. Yeah, I think it's they definitely need this. If they need a rebrand, you need a completely new logo, all of this stuff. They're not asking the questions of where do you want to go? What do you want as a result of this process? And really understanding. I think if you can connect to the client on that way, as well as telling the story, which can get them to what they've been talking about, then you're pretty much onto a winner.
I see.
Or you've improved your process anyway as a result.
And I think you mentioned about storytelling, I think that actually applies not just in the design industry or the visual communication, but even across all kinds of industries. So with students today, we use social media as a storytelling tool.
Yeah.
But how can they kind of start practicing to get to kind of more professional level of storytelling? Are there any kind of tips and tricks that you think students today can start practicing? Is it through the way that they want to curate their own, social media feed, or is it the way that they say, start trying shorter videos? Or, I mean, I'm just wondering, how can we train storytelling as a skill to students today?
Well, a lot of good storytelling comes from experience, right? And you can't really tell a story if you don't have experience. So you really have to try everything first to know where you failed, where you succeeded, and that's what becomes a good story. You know, like I wouldn't be able to have half of this conversation I'm having today if it wasn't for me changing careers, all of that stuff. It'd be pretty boring. So in order to tell a better story, I think it's to try everything, learning from those, what's working for you, what's not, because you learn so much more stuff about yourself. When you self-censor saying, oh, I'm only gonna, you know, shoot square photos, for example, in a square frame, then you're really not doing yourself any justice. And like, who's to say that that's the only way for you to go? You should really try everything for as long as you can, until you really find out, it's really not working.
I can't agree more. I think giving that kind of layers to your own kind of like development of a character, I think is super important. And I can't agree more, because I also switched like 5 jobs. And then now I have a story to tell people about like who am I, what do I stand for, and what is it that I care about. Okay, that's really cool. And so then, as a creative director, what does your day-to-day look like?
Day to day, actually, it's not as strict as what I used to be when I was in finance.
That's strict.
Like, 8
and you like this more, like.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot more work balance. Like, so I usually like to get in the office, you know, between 10 and 11. Sometimes I go to the gym before then, and it really varies, and that's what I love about the job. Before even finance, I was working in Topshop, so I was working in retail. And I love that, because every day was so different. You meet new people, all that stuff, and that's what I like about it.
Were you at the shop floor of Topshop, or?
Yeah, I've done it all. Went on tills, I was like hanging the clothes, I was working in stockroom, I was doing it all for like, when I was at university. And that's what I like, the spontaneity of this job as well. Knowing that every single job, moving out of F&B now into all kinds of other sectors, like each project is so different. Like working for Hong Kong University, like learning about medicine and humanities, and learning about these more abstract like subjects was like so good. I loved like sinking my teeth into a lot of research. So every day is pretty different, really, and that's what I like about it. I also like the different levels of activity. From some days are a bit slow, but some days are like, oh my god,
keeps you on your toes.
Every minute is like counting, and I like that.
So I think what I would love to understand a bit more is kind of like the journey that you've had in different fields. What is the learning that you had in various respects, and how is it transferable from studying mechanical engineering to finance and what you're doing now?
Mechanical engineering, how does that apply to today?
Does that apply? Or maybe it doesn't apply.
No, I don't think it does. And I think all of the stuff before then doesn't really. I think... so if we move forward to finance, a lot of the forecasting helped, budgets and all of that stuff. So when I was working at EY, I was analyst for them, and I was working with a lot of budgets and forecasts for the Asia Pacific team, and that helped me today with running a business and also doing the same thing. It's a lot more difficult because our projects are very ad hoc. We don't have a lot of retainers. So it's very hard to predict like what my bank balance is going to be like in 6 months. But you can kind of analyze some certain things, but it has helped in that way. And it's helped me, teach the rest of the team on how to do it as well.
Okay. And so when it comes to students today who are interested in art or design, how would you advise them in pursuing a career that you're in right now? How can they get started?
Like with anything, I think just show a lot of passion, a lot of initiative. There's so much stuff out there nowadays, like what I was saying, Skillshare is huge, and then just kind of get it in there. And I think that's what gets you the job. That's what gets your foot in the door, gets you your internship and all of that stuff. It's like, oh, I've done all of this at school, but look, I've done this like completely off my own back, which is not part of the course, whatever. And then and these things they're not that difficult to learn. It just takes time and practice.
That's true.
Yeah.
And it just shows like, are they just another kind of cookie cutter type of like candidate for say internships or for employment, or are they someone that actually says, I care a lot about it, and these are all the things that I've done on top of what I'm required to do?
Yeah, definitely. I just see too many. That's probably the current thing, is that people just think it's almost just because you've gone to school.
So then, based on your background, because you didn't go to art school, do you think that it's recommended for students to pursue design having had like an art school background, or do you actually recommend them trying something different and then have more kind of like varied experience?
I mean, I'm going to sit on the fence on this one. I have no preference. I think just like what we were talking about before with the whole social media thing, I think try everything, find out whatever you like at that time and you think it's going to work, do it, you know. Don't go for, I think that's probably the only thing. Like, I'm not really, because I think art schools have come a long way, and I think they are becoming better at bridging the gap between academics and actually real world application. I think they are becoming a lot better at that. I've really got no opinion or on it.
So as long as you're showing your passion and showing me your portfolio of work that you've done outside of it. And so when you hire someone, do you look at, besides the portfolio, do you also look at, like, say, I don't know, aspects of social media, like how they present themselves and whatnot, or are you kind of more on a portfolio-based assessment?
I'm more portfolio-based. I don't really look at the social media because I like to be treated. I like to treat others the way I like to be treated. Right? Okay. My social media feed is not the best. It's not the meticulous. So I like to give them the same freedom, and then also, just how they solve the problem. So a lot of writing does come into it. It's not the quality of writing, but like, this is what the project was at the beginning, and this is how I approached it, and these are the steps that I've done to solve that problem. That shows me the brain. It's not really about how the aesthetics look, because that can be taught. But if you can show how you solve problems, sometimes that can't really be taught. That is just how your brain really works. And I think if you have a natural kind of knack for that, then that's great. And I think that really is better than having meticulous typography or grilling or whatever, because that stuff can be taught.
So what are some kind of 3 key skills that you think being in the design or creative industry would need to have?
I think the most important one is definitely empathy, because you need to create and you need to design for the user. That user 9 times out of 10 is not you. It's not like one person that is you at all. So they might be older, younger than you, so you really need to step into the shoes of that person, almost like acting, I suppose. But I think that's the key thing, because having that empathy and having that open mind really enables you to solve problems more effectively.
And how do you develop that? Because I think we talk about social emotional intelligence in school, like that's a very important kind of a skill to have, but how do you develop that?
Yeah, it's a bit difficult. I mean, before I said everything before, my finance and, mechanical engineering account, but I think that my primary school and secondary school taught me a lot of empathy, because I grew up in London and it was very multicultural, people from all, religions and all backgrounds and stuff like that. And I think having friends from different cultures and being invited into their homes and stuff and seeing how different roles within different cultures and how the dad behaves and how the mum behaves and even the food that they cook and why they do it and how the parents treat their kids, that's hugely beneficial to me. It helped me understand that how different people can be, but it still works. And I think that's probably the key, is for people really to understand that there's not just one way on how to live life,
So true.
And
so true.
that helps you with empathy and it helps you solve problems better. Yeah.
So true. And would you have 2 more skills to share that you think would be important besides empathy?
I mean, I was thinking about this earlier, and I think empathy is so important that
once
it's
you
the
have
only
that,
one.
it kind of just
I think things start to snowball. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And so taking it to kind of like students today, if they're kind of like lost, don't really know what to do, like how would you kind of recommend a student to kickstart into something?
Yeah, I think it's just trying a lot of stuff. Again, it's like all trial and error. There's no like that's the problem with today's society. I feel is everyone's looking for that magic pill. You know, like get a 6-pack in like 6 weeks. Like it just takes hard work. Like it takes trial and error. It takes you realizing that fried food is not the best thing, you know, kind of thing. And it's really like a lot of trial and error and working it out. There's no easy way. Like I was lucky to have those flashbacks, but I think if you keep trying, and there's always skills which can be carried over. Like I think that's what people get a bit scared by. So I can't change career at this age because I'm going to lose all my skills and need to start from the bottom. Yeah, okay, you might start from the bottom, but your way to the top will be a lot faster than from the bottom in the vertical that you're in at the moment, because you have those skills. Like, I mean, one of the unknown skills, I think people underappreciate the skills of writing an email. I think
so true.
So true. And I think just even a skill like that, moving into another one, you'll write an email 10 times better than a fresh grad, 9 times out of 10, because you can condense that information and communicate to the other person. Whereas like huge body text emails, that doesn't really work. But I think trial and error, because it's not as scary as you think it is.
And does that start in the form of like an internship or like a part-time job, or is that more of an after-school activity or is just any of those? All of them, right?
Yeah. Just like really, just get your hands dirty, go in there, bug the hell out of like mentors or companies. I mean, can be annoying for us sometimes, but at the end of the day, you might get an opportunity, and that's what's most important, is for you to get the opportunity. It's not about I might be, you know, bugging that person or that person. It's really getting what you want to get and getting an opportunity that you can to actually make that difference in your own life.
And I remember, like we shared before, that like you also worked with some interns before, from like high school level to university level. Were there some insights that you can share about how they were great at, or what they could still improve on, that our audience can also learn from? Yeah,
I think it's really showing initiative and really showing dynamic thinking. And that's what is the difference for me between a good and a not so good intern. Is really showing that proactiveness. And it's not necessarily down to the person why they're not proactive. I think it's a lot to do with the current state of education and the way the system works. And I think that the education system does need to be kind of revolutionised in order to kind of have better interns, and also so people are better prepared when it comes to the real world work. And I mean, that's what you guys are really doing, is trying to bridge that gap.
Okay, so maybe asking one question about your DJ side, because I mentioned about the beginning. So like, where can we find you in like your DJ gig, or like how is that something that you do as a leisure, or is that more something that you do as kind of like another profession? Like, how do you see that side of yours?
Yeah, it's just a bit of fun. It started all off with me loving a certain genre of music in London called UK Garage. I loved that growing up, and I was like, how can I be more involved in it? Then my friend, who's a year older, he went to university a year before me, and he didn't make the best decision, but it benefited me, where he used all his student loan on buying a pair of turntables and a mixer. So I used to go around his and practice every day. Then I started DJing on pirate radio. So in the UK, you need a license to actually broadcast on radio. So there's pirate radio stations where they were kind of illegally broadcast. And I was on that, and then went on to house parties, all of that stuff. And now it's still a hobby. You know, I get paid. I do like festivals. So I've done Clock and Flap a few times, done Wonder Fruit. And I like support a lot of big name DJs which come to Hong Kong, like Ten State, Chromeo,
And what is your DJ name? How can we find you?
DJ name is DJ Broadback.
DJ Broadback? Okay.
It's
you have your own like Spotify channel or like SoundCloud?
Yeah, I should do. I have.
So you only book him, basically. You only see James live as a DJ, is what the.
Yeah. So. Okay. I need to kind of do that, but a bit busy.
No worries. You have a lot of projects going on. So I think to wrap this all up, I mean, this show is called Own Your Future, and I only invite people that are owning their future. So I would like to ask for your one piece of advice. How would you recommend people to own their future?
One piece of advice to own your future. I think just try everything. Get the trial and error thing. Really, just everyone is too closed off nowadays. They're like, and they think, oh, I couldn't possibly do that. Just do it. Yeah. Basically,
it's just oh, they said that I cannot do it. My parents said I cannot do it.
Yeah.
A lot of people are kind of preconditioned a little bit.
What's funny is that when you get to my age, sounding really old right now, but you see other teachers, right? And you're like, oh, that teacher's just a guy. Well, that's just a girl. This is my mate. What right does he or she have to say that I can't do this career or can do this career? So, teachers listening to this even don't do that. Because you could be wrong, and it does have a huge effect on that person. And the same goes to parents. They shouldn't be. I don't think they're in any right place to actually do that. I think that you really need to foster and cultivate your child's journey and really be open-minded towards it. Yeah.
James.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, Johan. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. So that's James Woodward. So thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you very soon. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, we are arriving at James Woodward's office in Taiwan,
and hello, everyone. Welcome to the Q&A, live Q&A session. Just want to say thank you so much for your patience when the playback was not working earlier and I had to restart, and I appreciate everybody's patience and still being with us. We have a list of really exciting questions that were listed out during the interview. And James, thank you for being here. Okay, perfect. Can you say something just to make sure that we can hear you? Okay, we can't hear you. Oh, perfect. Now we can hear you. Lovely. So I will ask the first question. So I'm just going to list them out because you can also see them on YouTube. But I think the first question comes from Leisha. Do you have any inspirations, or what inspires you? Okay, wait 1 second. I think we need to
from the team that they are not hearing you. So can you repeat that one more time, James? I mean, let's just do a sound check here. Hello?
Yeah, sure.
James?
Yeah. Can you hear me? Hello?
Oh, it's James, you're talking right now. Okay.
Yeah.
So 1 second. This is Australian being broadcast along with your life. Stop broadcasting system audio change speaker setting. Okay. But okay. It's fine. Wait. So you can hear. Okay. So I think there's a bit of a lag, so my apologies. My team was saying that there wasn't. And then okay, works now. Perfect.
Good.
Oh my God. Okay.
The gremlins are working.
This is so much fun, isn't it, James? So thank you, James, for explaining what your inspiration was. Let's move on to what are the projects that you are.
Sorry, I couldn't hear the last. What are the projects I'm looking forward to? Hello?
Wait, sorry, James, can you hear me?
Now I can't hear you.
I'm just hearing a mouth move. I'm not hearing any sound. Wait 1 second. Okay, James. You say hello first. Oh, you can hear. Okay, got it. We can hear both of you. So they can hear both of us. All right. Let us. Okay. So, James, I'm gonna go on. Okay, so let's see. I think just remove the AirPods. All right, I'm gonna remove the AirPods. It's confusing. And right now, can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, still no audio. Okay. Let me call you right back, James. I'm gonna call you right back so we can restart this.
Okay. Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me this time?
Yeah, I can hear you. You just cut off like halfway through that.
Wait, yes or no? You cannot hear me.
I can hear you.
You can hear me, okay? Because somehow I cannot hear you, but we're just gonna pretend that I can hear you too. All right?
Okay.
So
cool.
If you can hear me, then the next question will be: are there any projects that you're looking forward to at the moment?
I'm really looking forward to working on this big jewelry brand at the moment, and I mean it was really challenging. It's basically a female jewelry brand for a younger age market, so it's good to step into the shoes of that and just trying to find solutions for that market. Then what else have I got at the moment? This backpack brand, it would just be very interesting to see the logos that we've done and all kinds of small keychains and all of this stuff. So just looking forward to a lot of the new projects. It'd just be good to see what the team's been up to as well and how everything has come to fruition. Yeah. So answer that question.
Great, thank you, James. Next question: what do you look for in a young person to become your intern?
I think really not too much to elaborate beyond what was said in the video. Just a lot of passion, a lot of proactiveness, and that's basically it, really. And just a good way of thinking. What I was mentioning in the video about how you write about your projects in a portfolio, and I think those are pretty much the key things. And from there, you'll no doubt be able to gain some attraction from like a lot of people that you send your CVs off to.
And the next question, James, thank you for being such a champion. This is a question from Leisha. Did you feel like not studying a course in design at university limited your skills?
Yeah, you would think so. Definitely. I mean, that was a huge factor in my imposter syndrome. But you'll be surprised. I mean, like what I was saying before, all of these online resources like Skillshare, you've also got LinkedIn Learning. There's a bunch of other ones as well now. They can teach you all of these things, including the Future. I'm going to plug it again, the Future, without an E on the end. They also have another channel called Future Academy. So that's more focused on design-specific skills. So the Future is basically on business, but Future Academy is based on Photoshop skills, After Effects, all of that stuff, and also some more soft design skills like composition and color theory. So yeah, don't be too afraid if you come into the game a bit too late, as people would say, because you can catch up very quickly.
Next question is from Tony Verb. What would you think is the dark side of your industry, your design industry?
Dark side. I think dark side, like in any kind of industry, I think at the moment the biggest thing is about sustainability and designing sustainably. I don't think that a lot of designers, I mean, myself, sometimes I'm guilty, are really designing as thoughtful for as we can towards the environment. And I think that's it. I mean, when it comes to misconceptions, if it means dark side is misconceptions within industry, I would say it's the undervaluation of our work and basically designers getting taken advantage of by other people. Yeah. So I think that's better for the dark side of the industry.
Awesome. Next question is from Leisha again. If there's anything you would change about your job, what would it be?
Nothing. Really nothing. I love my job. I love my team. They're very, yeah. I mean, there's good days and bad days, but when you have those bad days, it makes you appreciate how good those good days are. So, I mean, there's going to be bad days wherever you go. It's going to be bad even weeks, sometimes even months. But it makes you stronger, and it also makes you appreciate the good times. Yeah.
Next question is from Akasha. Akasha wants to know, what would you say is the most enjoyable about your job?
The most enjoyable thing about the job is really walking through the whole process with clients. Before it used to be that eureka moment, you know, when you show them the design and like, oh wow, but now it's really just really talking through our problems and our issues and what we want to tackle going forward, and then just seeing how and just working it out, really talking together. I really like that. It's not so much the ego, it's a very collaborative process, and really, yeah, just getting to know other people better. I really like that. That's what I like from the whole Topshop days, and I've managed to kind of do that in my current job now, which I love.
Thank you. And what are some common misconceptions about design, says KK?
Right, misconceptions of design. I think that, right, number one, there's two of them. So that design is really cheap, and it really isn't. I think that misconception mainly comes from, you know, the Nike swoosh logo that was done for $20 in like 1979. But you know, that was a student, and eventually she had a share offering from Nike after when they got huge. And then the second one is probably design can be done really quick. One of the quickest design logos ever done was by Paula Scher, who I mentioned earlier from Pentagram. Check out her episode on Abstract, by the way, which is on Netflix. So yeah, she done the Citibank logo, and she drew it in the meeting where they were confirming the job on a napkin, and that was it. So she actually done the logo or thereabouts in the meeting when he got it. But truth be told, they spent the next year researching other avenues, but it turned out that by luck that the first logo they did was the one that they chose. And I think those are the two, is just time and money, both undervalued massively.
I think I'm getting very good at lip reading, James. I'm like looking at your lips, I was like, what does he say? So the next question we have is on Facebook from Kelly. Kelly wants to know, do you see any new prospects or trends in the design industry? And how will you or your company grab it? And what will you recommend students to do in order to prepare for that?
So what we're doing at the moment is more, you know, as I said before, strategic thinking, more business-focused design, really finding out what the needs are of the business. It's really too often, and you find that when you just start the design game, and still studios do it now, you know, the client goes up to you saying, oh, I need a logo, I need a website, and a designer will say yes. But really, you need to find out, why do they need to do a website and why do they need a new logo? It's basically like, going up to the doctor and saying, oh, I think I have, such and such illness and such and that illness. Well, the doctor's not going to say yes and give you the prescription for that illness. They're going to do a bit of diagnosis, find out what the root cause is, and that's what we do as well as designers. And I think that's the biggest skill going forward, is using designers almost like business consultants, as well as making stuff look very legible, clear, and very pretty as well. Yeah, so there you go.
Thank you. There's a more practical question probably for the art students out there. What makes a good art portfolio?
All right, good art portfolio. Diverse, obviously your best work. Having about, I'd say, no more than 10, but more than 5, between 5 and 10 pieces, and really breaking it down, like what I said before, writing about it, going through the thought process of what it took for you to go from A, the brief, to B, the actual final piece, or whatever, in whichever form it realizes itself in. And I think that's the main thing. It's really, because whether it looks good or not is really down to taste. But if you can really show that you tackled something in such a thoughtful and basically thorough manner, then I think you're definitely down to resonate with the person that's reviewing your portfolio. Yeah.
Another question from Iris again, which I think is a very fascinating question. What do you do when you have an artist's block?
Right. Artist block. Well, I use my team. I use my team to get me out of that sometimes, and they can just think of it straight away. So usually just get another pair of eyes. Sometimes just walk away. Just give it some time. It also helps. Sometimes, when you're doing research and you get a bit too drawn towards an inspirational piece, you think, oh, this is definitely a solution. You follow it a bit too closely, or you're not sure if you're following it too closely. What you should do is you leave it a day, sleep on it, and go back and see if it does actually still look different, or does it look too similar, and kind of reassess then. But also, just get someone that you really trust. Not too many people, because design by council is pretty bad, and you end up with basically not having a work that's individual to yourself. So what I'd say to summarize is ask a few people who you trust. Let's say no more than 2 or 3. And then if that's not to hand, then just walk away from the work, just go for a walk, take some fresh air, maybe go back and research, have a look at some books, maybe go on Pinterest, whatever. But yeah, just don't panic. That's basically the biggest thing. Just don't panic. It'll all work itself out in the end. Yeah.
And we're wrapping up with 2 more questions left. So one is from Boovie. What were you like as a student? I'm curious to know that too.
All right. So student, I was pretty damn studious as a student for the first few years. And then I think towards the end, when I got to sixth form college, I got a bit lazy, got a bit lost, and I could have been better, definitely, for sure. But ever since finding, working in, finance and actually finding my calling in design, I'm a lot more productive and probably more contemporary compared to how I used to be when I was about 16, 17. But before that, I was actually very stupid, believe it or not. Yeah.
All right. So the last 2 questions. The last question, I mean. And combining 2. So one is from Akasha and one is from Kinjal. Akasha, they ask along the same trajectory, is how difficult is it to get a job in your industry? And also, how do you become better at the job?
So how difficult is it? I think it's still difficult. And that's why you need to have this portfolio down. You really need to spend a lot of time on it. I mean, I haven't had experience in looking for a design job, but I remember when I came out of university, when I was looking for a finance job, it was probably harder than
All right, James. Thank you so much for doing this muted Skype interview with me. I think it went super well for the limitations that we have. So I want to say thank you so much. Oh, you cannot hear. So thank you. So I'm gonna transition you out for a second, and I'm just gonna wrap this all up in a second. Okay. So everybody, I hope you all learned as much as I did from James, and thank you, and sorry again for all those complications that we experienced. I have done so much testing before earlier today, and it all worked, and it always just doesn't work on the last minute. But anyways, what I want to say is this show is really created for you, and if you have any comments and feedback, please share with us because we would love to continue to improve. And also, if you know any friends who will also be able to benefit from this type of interview to understand more about the industries and to learn from the professionals, please share with them because our goal is to reach 10,000 young people by the end of this season, and we have 28 more episodes to go, and we need your help to reach as many young people as possible. And we're also launching our very own masterclass with guests on the show. So if you're interested in signing up for it, you can click on this link over here. And in the meantime, please also like and subscribe our page so you can follow us every week, and we will see you every Wednesday and Saturday at 8 p.m. So our next episode is with Laura Zhang. She is an artist and also a curator for one of the coolest galleries in Hong Kong, and she'll be coming on Saturday at 8 p.m. So hope to see you then. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful night. Bye!